Hey everyone. Today, we're jumping into something that, let's be honest, probably keeps a lot of engineers up at night: backups. But we're not just going to talk about having them. No. We're talking about going from just hoping they work to being absolutely 100% certain they'll save you when things go wrong. Let's dive into how you get that certainty.
So you've got backups. Awesome. But are you sure they actually work? I mean, we all see those backup successful notifications, right? Green check marks everywhere. But what about when it's 3 a.m., the world is on fire, a database just got corrupted, and you have to slam that big red restore button? Is that a moment of confidence, or just a moment of crossing your fingers and hoping for the best?
You know that feeling? That little pit in your stomach? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the problem, something I like to call the backup paradox. And here's the trap that so many of us fall into, right? We spend so much time and money setting up backups, snapshots, archives, copies of copies. We treat them like this digital Fort Knox. But here's the thing. A vault full of gold is totally useless if you've lost the key, or if you get inside and find out the gold was fake all along. And that right there is the huge difference between just having a backup and having a real working recovery plan.
So this really sums up the paradox, doesn't it? It's this crazy situation where you have terabytes, maybe even petabytes of data all backed up, but at the same time you have basically zero confidence that you could actually restore any of it in a real crisis. It's a total illusion of safety, and honestly, it's a super dangerous place to operate from.
Okay, so how do we break out of this paradox? How do we fix this? Well, we need to stop relying on these random manual spot checks that just create more anxiety. It's time to embrace something modern, something automated. Let's call it our automated guardian.
And this is really the core idea we're talking about today. It's not some abstract theory. It's a real system you can build. An automated backup validation pipeline is basically a system that does all the scary work for you on a regular schedule. It automatically grabs your latest backup, spins up a safe, isolated little sandbox, restores the data, and then runs a bunch of tests to prove that it's actually usable. It does this over and over, so you always know.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. It's a fire drill for your data. You'd never wait for an actual fire to see if the sprinklers work or if the alarms go off, right? Of course not. You test them. This pipeline is exactly that. It's a constant fire drill, testing your recovery process again and again, so when a real disaster hits, it's not panic mode, it's just another Tuesday. It feels like a routine you've practiced 100 times.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does this fire drill actually look like? What are the moving parts? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the anatomy of one of these pipelines.
First things first, a system like this has to be built for the reality of today, and that means multi-cloud. Your data is probably everywhere, right? So this pipeline is designed to pull backups from all the big players. Doesn't matter if your snapshots are in AWS S3, or if you're using Azure Blob Storage or Google Cloud Storage. The source doesn't matter, the validation process is universal.
Okay, let's walk through the 5-step process. It's actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, select snapshot. The system just grabs the latest backup it can find. Easy enough. Step 2, provision environment. This is key. It spins up a brand new, totally temporary, and most importantly, isolated test environment. You're not touching production. Step 3, restore data. It takes that backup and restores it into this safe little sandbox. Now, Step 4 is where the magic happens. Run validation. This is where automated tests kick in to check if the data is actually, well, good. Is it corrupt? Is it complete? And finally, Step 5, report and cleanup. You get a simple pass or fail notification, and the entire temporary environment is just poof, deleted. Clean, simple, and totally automated.
All right, having a cool automated system is one thing, but to make it truly useful, it needs some clear rules. We need some rules of engagement to turn it from a neat tech demo into a core operational capability.
This is probably the most important part. What does success even mean? How do we know a restore is actually good? We have to define it with concrete, measurable, automated checks. Things like, does the database even connect? Do basic data integrity checks pass, or is it a corrupted mess? If it's a full application backup, does the app fire up and respond to a basic health check? And here's a great one. Do the key tables actually have recent data in them? From yesterday, not from 2019. These aren't just hopes. These are questions a script can answer with a yes or a no.
Okay, next up, scheduling. How often do you need to run these fire drills? Well, it's not one size fits all. It really depends on how important the data is. You can see in this table it's pretty common sense. For your absolutely critical, can't live without it data, The stuff with a super low recovery point objective, you're going to want to validate that daily. For your standard business data, maybe a weekly check is good enough. And for those long-term archives you rarely touch, a monthly validation is probably just fine. The point is, the business needs drive the schedule, not the other way around.
And this might be the most important rule of all. What happens when a test fails? Because they will fail sometimes. A silent failure is completely useless. The pipeline must immediately fire off an alert to the right team, your DevOps folks, your SREs. Why? So they can figure out why the backup is broken now, when things are calm, not in the middle of a catastrophic outage.
So when you put this all together, the automation, the rules, the alerting, what do you get? What does this really mean for a team or a company? It's not just a new tool. It's a fundamental shift in your entire mindset. Just look at this comparison. It's a total culture shift. You go from the world of hope-based recovery, where you're saying, gosh, I hope our backups work, to the world of certainty-based recovery, where you can say, I know our backups work. We literally restored and tested them this morning. You're swapping out those random manual spot checks for automated continuous validation. And the payoff? You transform that high-anxiety, heart-pounding panic during a failure into the calm, cool confidence of just executing a plan you've practiced over and over again.
And that's really the big takeaway here. We have to stop thinking about backups as some dusty, forgotten archive that we just hope we never have to open. We need to start treating recovery as a core, living, breathing capability of our systems. It's an active skill we practice every day, not just a passive insurance policy we pay for and forget.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Your data's fire drill, it ran last night, right? Did it pass? Imagine being able to answer that question every single morning with a simple, confident yes. That is the power of moving from hope to certainty. Thanks for tuning in.